Hi, everybody. Happy Fridays.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Looks like both of our speakers are here. Well, let me say, first of all, happy Friday. Thank you, Harry. Totally agreed there. Holiday for most, of course, at BNB Chain. We are always on the clock, always working. And today is an extra special, exciting day because this is a new format of Twitter Space for us where we're going to be introducing new projects that are on the BNB Chain ecosystem and discussing a topic. So today's topic is going to be Web3 and AI. It was voted on by our users, so I'm really excited to hear what our guests have to say about it. So why don't we start with Harry, who is from Life, who's going to explain
Hello.
his project. Why don't you just give us a quick introduction to what you guys are working on?
Sure. Sorry, you cut out there for a second. Hi, my name's Harry Ye. I'm actually the founder of the Life protocol and also a quantum fintech group, a hedge fund. I'll tell you a little bit more about the DeFi protocol today. We're a full stack DeFi protocol. There's swaps, DeFi perpetuals. We were originally built on Phantom, supporting the Phantom ecosystems, and we've expanded recently to a BNB. We're launching our own permissioned L1 in May, and we're one of the first projects, I believe, to be layering AI on top of DeFi. So perfect subject for today's discussion. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us. Sorry if my mic cut out. Hopefully it's a bit better now. Let's move to Ribbon Finance. So yeah, you guys are also brand new to BNB Chain, and we're really excited to have you as well. A little bit of background noise right there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Let's go. How about you give us a quick intro to your project?
Cool. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Julian. I'm the CEO of Ribbon Finance. We were the first structured products protocol. We started on Ethereum, and I think we created this concept of a DeFi option vault that is very popular now in DeFi. And recently, we just expanded to BNB Chain. So we're excited to launch these option vaults to Binance BNB holders, and also sort of expand to this new community.
Yeah, option bots, definitely a topic that we want to touch on today. I'm sure a lot of our users would appreciate some education on exactly what those are. But before we do that, let's dig a little bit into today's topic. So as you guys know, our speakers and listeners will know that AI has been huge in the news lately, especially like ChatGPT, all the speculation about how it's going to disrupt all these different industries from copywriting to social media, but also Web3 as well. So that's what we wanted to talk about today. Keep in mind that the projects that we're talking to today may not specifically be AI-based projects, but we just want to get their opinion on what's going on, and they're going to have their respective niches, right, in the Web3 industry, and we want to find out, what do they think? How do they think Web3 is going to impact things? So why don't we go back to Harry and just ask the first question is like, what is your sort of take and impression on all of the frenzy we've heard about AI in the last few weeks?
Yeah, so thanks for having me on. Definitely, there's been a pretty big craze in the AI space since November with ChatGPT. Full disclosure, I actually started working on machine learning and like deep learning stuff back in 2014, but then I had to choose between blockchain or crypto or AI. I like to think we made the right choice going with crypto, and what we didn't expect this year was just how far we've really come with like the generative the language models, the natural language processing. It's quite incredible. I mean, right now GPT-4, things that you wouldn't have been able to do before, you can do today. For example, we use GPT quite a bit internally, just even for code checking and just even prototyping ideas. We were actually pretty excited. Something I've been actually working on for a while is how to give people an opportunity to kind of see what the best yields are, for example, on Lif3.com and in DeFi. And if you go to ai.lif3.com, there's a landing page we set up, which is essentially layering AI on top of DeFi, which we believe is most DeFi projects are probably going to be doing something similar to this. But I just like to think of AI as kind of like it's a user interface. It complements Web3, but you're not necessarily going to see AI directly in blockchain, but a lot of projects will use AI effectively, like GPT, to layer on top of their actual projects to create a much better user experience. That's kind of what we see.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's a great introduction to not only your interest in AI, but how your company is actually working with it. Full disclosure, I actually used AI to write the questions that I'm asking you guys for this interview, which I thought was kind of funny. So not all of them, but most of these questions are partly inspired. And that is not because I'm lazy, guys. It's because I thought it would be on topic and a good idea. So let's turn the same question to our friends at Ribbon as well. So what is your kind of general take on AI and all of what we've been hearing about it lately? And then in a moment, we'll get a little bit more specific about its relationship in the future with Web3.
Yeah, I think most of the interesting innovations in AI in the last 6 months have been more on like the creative side. So writing, writing stories, writing code, generating images, stuff like that has been sort of the big thing in the last 6 months. But I think I'm more interested in how we can use this in sort of trading, especially maybe crypto trading. That's still a very new field, but I'm sure some of the new advances in machine learning can sort of create much better trading models and sort of AI-based systems. So yeah, I think that's sort of our angle and how we're thinking about how to apply this in crypto.
Yeah, there's definitely so many different applications. I mean, I'm sure everybody here is just sat with ChatGPT and like you can have full-blown conversations with it. It'll ask you about your personal life, but of course, as we figured out, I think the more specific questions that you ask it, the more information you give it, the more it will give back. So I think that's something people are really starting to figure out, which is that um, if you can be almost like an AI whisperer, right? If you can figure out the right way to ask it your question, whether it's for coding or other things, you'll be really surprised and I think impressed by the sort of output that you're going to get from that. All right, so let's move on to our next AI generated question, and that is really
Just to
how do
add to
you
that,
go ahead.
actually, I think I saw online that if you're an AI design prompt engineer, you can make like 330 grand a year. That's what people are actually getting. They're offering people.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you learn AI prompting properly, you can make a lot of money because what you're telling the computer what to do.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I might be in the wrong line of work, knowing that salary. That's pretty cool. I like that. Hopefully AIs won't be hosting Twitter Spaces anytime soon, but I wouldn't be surprised. So Harry, I mean, let's just get into it right now a little bit more specifically. So we've heard about all these interesting applications of AI. AI has been very sort of like this trendy new tech thing. Of course, crypto and Web3 has kind of dominated that sort of bleeding edge of like tech and everything in the past couple years. Maybe that's simmered down a little bit with the bear market that we've seen. But how do you see that relationship kind of evolving over time? Is there really something there? Is there some substance between how AI and Web3 can sort of coexist and perhaps build together?
100%, actually 1,000% that the two will kind of coexist. If you take a look at AI before ChatGPT came along, it was kind of really reserved for the back end guys, the engineers. Most of us use an application every single day, and we don't even realize that's the most effective interface, which is messaging. So why does Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, WhatsApp, Telegram, all of these tools are super, even WeChat for China, all of these tools are super important, but they're used the most because of messaging. And all GPT's essentially done now is it's given the perfect kind of text interface, because most people communicate via text. So if you can have a communication with your application and tell you kind of what you want it to do, that's really the first step. So for example, in Web3, what we find is, so our protocol right now really focuses on yield farming. So imagine, we have all these different places on our platform where you can actually generate yield, on trade.lif3.com, which is the GMX fork, the Garden, which is, Uniswap staking. The issue is because as you kind of grow as a protocol, there's a lot of fragmentation. So what a product like ChatGPT and a text-based interface is, you can just type in something like, show me the best yields on life.com, or show me the best yields on Phantom, or show me the best yields on BNB chain. And then that's the first step. And then the second step would be, okay, here's $1,000 over the next 30 days, using my risk profile, deploy, $1,000 across these different yields, and then check back with me in 30 days. And then the step after that would be, okay, just help me maintain my portfolio, and alert me of kind of any like major events. So this is really kind of where I see at least the direction we're really going in on kind of how to layer in AI. So it almost becomes kind of like your own little financial advisor without being your financial advisor. Just because DeFi is already very, very difficult to get into. So what we find is by layering this interface, which makes it very, very easy, AI will actually accelerate the adoption of blockchain and crypto, in my opinion. And if you read in the Wall Street Journal, Sam Altman put a very, very good article out there. I can reference that later. But he talked about how AI and crypto could actually be one of the first things that can help be the test bed for like universal basic income. So there's all these amazing things you can do with blockchain already. You can issue a token, airdrop it. Imagine having the the AI actually KYC and just say, okay, doing it manually as a human would be impossible, but the computers can use the KYC systems just to make sure people are who they actually say they are. So I think if you're a crypto or Web3 company, you don't have an AI strategy, you definitely need to spend a lot more time playing with this stuff, because it will take your application to the next level, and you'll get a lot more adoption. We expect the adoption curve to be much higher once we have our chatbot integrated.
Yeah, that's super interesting, right? Because I think with ChatGPT right now, like if you ask it some financial questions, it won't tell you, right? Because it says, I think I was playing around with this last night. It said something to the effect that like, I cannot advise you on financial matters, but
correct.
Yeah, I'm assuming in the future. Go ahead.
The key is that right now, there's a specific reason why GPT models only are trained till 2021, because so you can use GPT to give you financial data and advice. What you have to do is you have to format this data outside of GPT, and then you feed that in. So what you're doing is you're just using the language model from GPT to process your subset of data. So does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I know, I get it. It's it's all about how you sort of like format it. But yeah, I think no, that's so cool to think about, like how it could become like this advisor in the future. Let's go to Ribbon and see what you guys think. Same question. I mean, from your vantage, from your niche, how do you see like Web3 and AI kind of coming together?
Yeah, I think it would be less on the language models per se. We are sort of not building like a yield system where sort of the AI can recommend you different opportunities, but more of like options trading. So I think where it would have the most impact is, traders could maybe build more sort of strategies and automated bots that sort of use some of these AI tools to actually basically trade. And I think having these tools sort of be more available to the public just makes it easier for anyone to create these automated strategies. So currently we don't support that yet, but I think what we want to launch, we're actually building a new options exchange. And what we're trying to launch maybe in a few months is basically a way for traders to sort of do like copy trading, and you can copy trade sort of like a bot. So I do think that's where AI would sort of have the biggest impact for our product.
Very, very interesting stuff. Yeah, I agree. It's like there's the utilization of the language model as a way to advise you, but then there's even more advanced ways that could have implications on trading and stuff like that, which I think is extremely interesting. Okay, guys, so let's turn back to our AI-generated questions. And I want to see here, this is an interesting one that came up. I'm just going to skip over question 5 because I think we just touched on a few of those things. How might Web3 tech be used to address issues related to data privacy and security in AI systems? So kind of flipping the script really is like, sometimes you hear these concerns about AI, about data privacy and security, could Web3 play a role in mitigating those supposed risks? Let's go to Harry first.
Sure. So actually adding to your last point too, one of the most powerful things about the GPT model is you can use Russian, Chinese, Arabic. I mean, we've fed Arabic um, interfaces. I'm actually here in the UAE, so it's pretty exciting to see how fast your application can go multilingual and locales. And this is kind of tied in with a data security and privacy as well, because every region, if you look at the Euro, it's the Europe, the US, their privacy standards, every country or region is different. So the first thing AI can actually do is tailor privacy and security to specific regions. And then the other one is obviously size and scale, verification. Of actual data and security itself, and that the security and the data integrity is actually provided by the blockchain. So the blockchain would be the actual ultimate case for truth. So that's really kind of where I see the AI and the blockchain space kind of playing together. Like blockchain would be the ultimate decider of the truth of what is real data, and then AI itself, based off of kind of region and locale, can relate to issues of like data privacy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. I think, yeah, okay, all right. So let's see what Ribbon has to say about it as well. Your thoughts on how, because I'm sure, with what you guys do, you're very concerned with, security and data privacy as well. How might Web3 be able to mitigate some of the concerns around security and AI?
Yeah, I think a lot of blockchain data is like default by public. So a lot of people trying to do like AI and crypto stuff is sort of training on completely public data sets. So yeah, I think in some ways, a lot of this stuff is not really sort of like a huge concern because the data is really public. So yeah, I mean, we have seen some of these like companies that are trying to build like block explorers where you just type in something like, oh, give me the top 100 token holders of this token, and the LLM would basically output something. And I mean, in that case, it's just gathering data from the public, right? So yeah, I think in many ways it will be much less of a concern since the data sets are public by default.
Yeah, I have a friend who was really passionate about, ChatGPT, and then I think he told me that he found out that all of the responses are recorded, right? I don't know if this is really true, but then he stopped using it after that, right? So I think people do have like very real concerns, right? It's almost similar to Google, right? Like the things that people put into Google, the kind of questions that they ask are, questions they may not even ask their closest friends or their spouse or something like that. It's that intimate of a situation when you're speaking with whether it's a search engine or AI. So I think protecting people's data and privacy as they interface with these tools will actually be really important. And it sounds like Web3 may play a role to that end. Let me move to my next question, back over to Harry here. Do you see any potential blockers or concerns when you sort of assess this potential relationship between Web3 and AI? Anything that sticks out to you that could possibly either get in the way or be an issue as these two areas kind of converge?
So potential blockers, I think the previous question with data privacy and security, for example, in enterprises, you may not necessarily want to have your information leave your data center or use public clouds like OpenAI's interface. So the beauty is a lot of people talk about OpenAI, but they don't actually talk about NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, there's actually a really good keynote that Jensen Huang made at the GTC conference, which essentially talks about how you can run your own version of like GPT, I think GPT 3.5 or 3 inside your own data center. So it goes kind of with the premise of, okay, data privacy is very, very important. Security is super important. So we're going to run it in-house ourselves. But I think as it pertains now to the relationship between AI or Web3, I think there's a reason GPT is only allowed up to like training data of 2021, and if you want to train it with data outside, it's not going to be allowed to be real time. So I think that the big fear is what happens when you hook this thing into the live internet. And there's a really good movie I suggest everybody watches called The Singularity from Ray Kurzweil. He released it back in 2008. So I think it's just a matter of time. I think he said that 2041 is when the singularity will approach, where humans and machines will actually merge. So I think we've got probably another 10 years, but this stuff is just moving so fast. So there's definitely going to be regulatory coming, and you're already seeing it with Italy. So I think the big fear is AI going to replace a lot of jobs? 100%. But people should be spending more time on creative things and doing things that they want to do versus menial tasks. So for example, even now, if we use Chat GPT, it's not replacing our programmers, but it's making our programmers better. So I think there was a quote on Twitter that GPT won't replace workers, but workers that use GPT will replace those workers.
That's right. That's right. It's really like a tool, right? And it's hopefully it won't be autonomous, anytime soon. I know you mentioned the singularity. There's a whole host of, I think, really like ethical and moral considerations that we can get into, because I have another question about that just towards the end of the space here. But let me just turn this question first back to Ribbon. Any concerns that you have about this potential integration between Web3 and AI, like any hesitancy you would have to integrate it into your products or anything like that you would want to let us know about or speculate on?
Yeah, I mean, I think one interesting sci-fi take on how these two things can work together is like some people are, because I mean, crypto is sort of like non-state-owned currency, and it's sort of like digital or internet native currency. And people have like speculated that if sort of these AIs become station, this would be like the currency of their choice. So I do think it is like quite an interesting and potentially scary proposition, but we'll see if that's like actually fiction or if, yeah, that's still probably a bit of a ways out.
Oh, that's a good point. I never thought of that before. Like, if there is a sentient AI, it would probably love cryptocurrency. Never
Yeah,
thought of
I
that
mean,
before.
because like fiat currencies, humans can sort of just like they can just stop the flow of how you use money. But if you use like a cryptocurrency, you sort of, if you own the keys, you can do whatever you want. So that seems like potentially something that AIs would want to use.
Right. So you heard it here first. When the robots take over, they will be using crypto. Hopefully they choose BNB. Okay,
Sure,
guys.
they're going to pick
Next.
BNB, of course.
Hopefully BNB. Okay, guys, we got a couple interesting questions here, and then I want to talk a little bit more about your specific projects. So let's get into this next one, because I think this is pretty fun. So what are your guys' personal favorite use cases for like a product like ChatGPT or comparable AI products that you've seen so far? I'm sure everybody saw the story in the news about the guy who, I think he got ChatGPT to like start a business and like develop a website, and then people ended up like buying the website or something like that. Like, there's all these crazy things that people have done. Have you guys seen anything like particularly fun that really inspired you that's come out of AI in the last few weeks or months? Harry?
Sure. So that's actually a great question. So one of the things that I saw, let's see, I'm just looking for it on my Twitter. This guy, I'm trying to find his name. He managed to get. I think he was using a program called Jarvis, and he would talk into his MacBook, and the Jarvis would actually deploy like a full website. So for those of you who are like big Marvel fans, Jarvis is the AI bot for Tony Stark, the Iron Man. So he would actually say, deploy this, and it would pull the source code, ask him what color of the theme that he wanted. He built like a little small social network.
Are you there, Harry? I think we lost you. Ribbon? What's going on? Did you leave?
I don't. Yeah, I don't hear him as well.
Oh no, Harry, we've lost you. Harry's on such a roll. Yo, shout out to Harry, man. He's really dropping knowledge in this call right now, so that's a shame. Harry, you might. Oh, you're back. You're back. Go on.
Oh, sorry, Oh, I think somebody was trying to call me. Sorry.
Yeah, you dropped out for a second, but go on ahead. Did you need another prompt on the question, or do you remember where you left off?
Where did I leave off? Sorry.
You were just talking about your favorite use cases for AI that you've seen, and there's something on your Twitter that you were referring to.
Yes. So there's a guy that he created a program called Jarvis, or he's using a program called Jarvis. So Jarvis is from Iron Man. Like he was Tony Stark's AI bot. So you would talk into this AI bot and say, build me a website with social media, make it responsive web, and then deploy it to Vercel so that I can actually have a website. And it did it in like 5 minutes. So I think at a very high level, if you see what's possible, you can have AI help manage your DevOps. You don't even need, or it'll augment your DevOps team because there's a lot of work just in Web3. You have to constantly be deploying. So seeing this being used for code generation and even developer operations are very, very interesting.
Yeah, it just boggles the mind, all the manual work that people do today. Like what is going to be able to just be done in just a blink of an eye. It's pretty unreal, really, when, me personally, right? Like I'm a social media professional. I came up from copywriting. A few years ago, I would have to sit down and write out a whole blog or something like that. Literally, you can type a prompt in, you'll see it just instantly materialize in front of your eyes. Now, is the writing at the quality yet where it's sort of personable and unique enough to replicate like a real human behind it who has maybe a little bit more concentrated humor or something like that, but it's not quite there yet. I think we can all tell when something's written by AI. It's very formulaic, it's kind of generic, it's a bit rigid in some ways. But if I had to bet in a few years, it's gonna almost be indistinguishable from real life text. So that's something to look out for as well. How about you, Ribbon, on the same question? Anything really cool, fun, or inspiring that you've seen in AI that caught your eye over the past few weeks?
Yeah, I think I do like the coding use cases. I mean, it just makes devs like 10x more productive, and uh, that's something I find very useful and practical. So that's probably the closest use case to my to sort of my line of work. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot more interesting stuff in the future.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you see these stories like in the news literally almost every day at this point. And I think someone said before, it's certainly in the ethos, like it's part exciting and it's also kind of scary too, just considering how it might upend a bunch of industries. Okay, now let's get to this kind of final question on AI. Then I want to find out a bit more specifically about your guys' project, because you've been very considerate to sort of play along with our um, format for this show, which is kind of drawing you towards topics that are sort of really popular right now. I think we've all been in like a ton of crypto Web3 related spaces where projects just kind of promote themselves. And we thought it's kind of refreshing to like get everyone to talk about a topic rather than it just being like sheer promotional stuff. So I really appreciate you guys for going along with it. I think it's been a super interesting conversation. By the way, for everybody listening right now, do me a favor, follow our guests here. You just have to click on their profile. You will not leave the space if you do that. Give them a follow because they've spent part of their afternoon or morning today to chat with us, so we can help them out by following. But just to get to this next question, and we'll start with Harry. What is your take on the ethics of AI? I know that we've kind of touched on this before, but this is probably the most pressing question that people have. Like, is it reasonable that people could actually fear that this technology will one day like surpass humanity? If you want to go into like the science fiction realm, could it even like enslave humanity? Could it take over? Is this like the beginning of the Matrix? Like, what's your take on that whole view of AI?
I think he cut out there for a little bit.
Okay, let me rephrase my question in case I cut out.
You cut out
What's your
at the
take on,
part where, like something about like AI, but
yeah, it was definitely something about AI. Okay. Is it reasonable to like fear AI or like, that it might surpass or like enslave humanity one day? Like, what do you think about that?
So that's a great question. So for all of us that are older enough to remember Terminator 2 from Skynet and The Matrix, there's definitely that portion where it's not, it's, all of humanity is kind of enslaved. The other one is if you take a look at something like Interstellar or some of these other movies. What was that one? I think AI from Steven Spielberg. There's more the utopian version where humans all kind of live together and universal basic income is a thing and people can kind of focus on like the more important things. I think even Wall-E is an interesting Disney animation that kind of talks about it. So I think as long as the regulation of AI is probably going to have some type of regulatory, I think, because if it's too advanced, it can't be making like too many decisions. But again, when you have a sentient AI, the singularity I think will happen at some point where humans will kind of merge with machines. So it may not surpass humanity, but humanity has to upgrade their intelligence because from what I understand, we only use like 5 or 10% of your brain. So you can augment AI to use more of your brain. Well, that completely changes things too, right? And a really good movie, obviously, is Transcendence with the Johnny Depp. That's a very, very good AI movie.
Okay, well, we've got some movie recommendations. Hey, real quick, guys, if you could merge with robots, like merge with an AI or somehow augment yourself with the robot, would you do it? Like, put a thumbs up reaction in the space if you would. Personally, I would. Like, that's really interesting to me. Like, if I could become like part robot, part machine, I think that would be really cool. Obviously, I'm not speaking as BNB Chain, just myself, but I think that would be pretty cool. I'm not really seeing any thumbs up. Maybe you guys don't want to be robots. How about you, Harry? What do you think?
I just did a thumbs up.
All right. Ribbon, what about you? First on the robot question, and then secondly back on the original question, which is like, what do you think about the ethics of AI, and do you sort of fear that one day this technology could be like dangerous to humanity?
I mean, I think if it makes me live forever, I would do it, but we'll see if that's actually possible. Yeah, I think on the ethics side, there's still a lot of questions. So it's really unclear what the state would be in the next. I mean, the acceleration of the progress has been pretty crazy. So yeah, I think we just gotta wait and see. We'll probably have better clarity in, I don't know, a year or 6 months. So yeah, I think it's too early to tell.
Yeah, it's definitely too early to tell. I think we're really just seeing like the tip of the iceberg. But I mean, you see how fast all of this stuff has come along in our lifetimes. When I was 11 years old, like in like 2000, like I'm 31 now, like the computers were so bad, like compared to what they are today. I can only imagine another 20 years, like what they're going to be like, whether it's AI processing. This could also bring in stuff like virtual reality and stuff like that as well. So, as you said, it's a bit early on a few of these things, but I think we're sort of just seeing the tip of the iceberg as we come down to it. So, why don't we talk a little bit more specifically about your guys' projects? I want to go back to Ribbon first because you mentioned something in the beginning of the space, which is something that my colleagues at BNB Chain have told me is like really important thing to get into. So why don't you, like, in the simplest of terms, like imagine you're talking to people that don't understand the tech side too well. What is it about the upside of what Ribbon Finance is doing that's like really exciting to you that you want to make sure people know?
Yeah, so I'll sort of break it up into two parts. What we are sort of known for in our product, what we've been working on for the last 2 years is what people call DeFi option vaults. So basically, if you own, for example, a bunch of BNB, and I mean the price of BNB now is what, like close to $300. You can actually sell some potential upside for some yield today. So for example, if you think, okay, I own BNB now, but I don't think BNB is going to go to $400 in the next 2 weeks, for example, you can actually sell a call option for a $400 strike BNB call, and you get paid some yield today. The products that we have, we help you do this trade over and over again every single week. So we've been running this on Ethereum for close to for over 2 years now. We just deployed it on BNB chain. So if you are looking for sort of like a higher yield opportunity on the BNB chain, this is a good opportunity for you guys. The next thing that we actually just announced today is we are also building a new options exchange, a DEX. So very much like a DOIDX or some sort of other order book exchange. We are sort of building something like that, but focused around options trading. So yeah, I think nothing like this has ever existed before, and we are the first to do it in like a high performant way on chain. So yeah, we just announced that. Go to our profile and see the pinned tweet, and yeah, feel free to test it out. So that's sort of the two categories of products that we've been working on. First, the yield thing, and now an options exchange as well.
Yeah, this, as I said, my colleagues, especially my tech colleagues, have been telling me this is a really like innovative and exciting thing that's coming to BNB chain. So make sure to follow Ribbon, guys, and read their pinned tweet. Check out everything that they've been announcing lately. Dig into that a little bit more. I think you'll be really interested. And then how about Harry? Let's move to Life as well. You've given us some really rich feedback on the AI subject matter. I know that's related to your product somewhat, but why don't you tell us kind of what's most exciting to you about what you guys are building right now?
Sure. Actually, I just wanted to refer back to Julian. Julian, that was an awesome explanation at the very beginning. If you guys can follow and message me after, I used to do a lot of covered call trading, so it'd be amazing to see kind of how this works on a DeFi level. So definitely haven't seen anything like that. So we're excited to kind of see what you guys have.
Cool. Yeah, we can DM you after this and see if we can collaborate.
Yeah. So a little bit more about the Life protocol. So I think it probably makes a little bit more sense to give you guys a little bit of history. So I actually come from a computer software engineering background, and when I got into Bitcoin in 2013, I was fortunate enough to have a hedge fund and really kind of focus more on the investment side. In 2019, we discovered a blockchain called Phantom. It's made by Andre, Michael, David, these guys. It's an amazing protocol. And then we also took over a project called Tomb. And the projects did extremely well in, I think, 2021 in the bull market. But obviously, since like last year, most of DeFi, all the projects have kind of really taken a turn for the worse. So it was an opportunity for me to kind of build something I've wanted to kind of build from scratch from a long time. So transitioning from like a trader and a fund guy to like a DeFi builder. And the thing that's unique about Life, at least in the space, if you kind of take a look at it from a very, very high level, we have kind of an 8-year plan for like the project. So we tell people 8 years just because if you look at most traditional tech companies, the investment horizon for companies like Google, Facebook, most projects mature at around the 4 to 5 year range. So we're almost 1 year now. And most people in DeFi, what we've kind of found is everybody's in for kind of like the quick buck, but for us, we're really kind of focusing on longer term. And one of the things that probably is the most unique with what we've done is we launched a protocol chain. It's a layer 2 optimism fork on Phantom called Tomb Chain. And Tomb Chain was really, really an experiment for us first because we wanted to see what it was like to run a permission chain. So if people may ask, what's a permission chain? Well, a permission chain means anybody can use it, but not anybody can deploy a smart contract on there. And people are asking, why would you want to do this? Because if you look at the entire model of blockchain itself, a lot of it is broken. Phantom, BNB, Ethereum, the problem is anybody can deploy contracts on them, but that also means you're susceptible to, you know, flash loan attacks, um, you know, MEV attacks, you know, front running. And we saw this a lot on the day, you know, with Terra Luna. Like some blockchains, you couldn't even use them literally for 24 hours just because everybody's just front running with gas. So we thought it was a unique opportunity to kind of really build something, you know, for the future. So we're excited to announce, you know, here that, you know, we have our own permissioned L1 called LifeChain that we're launching, I think, in May. And one of the ideas we're also exploring is layer 2 as a service. So imagine right now you can't. It's very, very expensive to deploy an L1 and an L2, but I think, you know, L2 as a service for enterprises, if it's permissioned, will be a big thing at least in the next bull run. So what we've essentially done is we've taken kind of like the best of everything in DeFi that we feel is like the best. So for example, GMX is the most popular GMX4. So we've deployed that on BNB, but also on Phantom. But previously, you know, we've also got, you know, Taro fork and Uniswap forks. And what we found is most platforms don't look at client or user acquisition really, really in the long term. So by focusing on the best of breed of projects and kind of putting them under one roof, you're kind of creating like vertical integration kind of in the DeFi space, which is really what we're trying to do, is give people a safe place to earn yield in the long term. And as product innovations come from companies like, you know, Uniswap, Balancer, if we find that GMX, we find that there's a good need for them to kind of integrate into our ecosystem. That's really, really what we're focused on, is creating like a DeFi ecosystem where users that are happy just in the ecosystem come here. So on the permission side, you can think of it almost like the Apple developer program. Well, how can you deploy on LifeChain or ToonChain? Well, if you're a known developer, you know, we welcome you onto our platform. Just, you know, pass all the terms and conditions and whatnot, that you're not going to deploy anything malicious. Nobody's really, really doing that in the crypto space. Definitely not in the DeFi space. So we're kind of really the first, whereas it's like, hey, we want to work with the best projects, and we want to have a place where people can kind of go where it's not like the wild, wild west. So I think that's what you're going to really, really see in the future, and that's what we're the most excited about. This is why I built the Life protocol with our team.
Wow, that's really cool, and I'm glad to hear that you and Ribbon have some synchronicities as well that that you guys can perhaps collab on in the future. Well, it's been a great space. We're coming up to about 45 minutes. I really just have one more question about kind of projecting out into the future, not for AI, but this time for your respective projects. Like, what can we expect from you? You know, maybe in the short to long term, but also the long term. Like, what is your broad sort of future? What do you expect your companies to grow into? Why don't we start with Ribbon on that? Where do you see all this going? What do you want to build, and how are you going to get there?
Yeah, I think from our perspective, the sort of crypto market is sort of just becoming more and more sophisticated over time. So we have seen retail participants in sort of traditional markets get more sophisticated. A lot of people are sort of trading these options on Robinhood, and we think it's just been like pretty early for crypto options. The first few exchanges launched them like 1 year ago or 2 years ago at the most. So I think in the next few years there'll be a big shift from people started trading spot, and then they started doing margin trading, and then people started trading futures, and we think the next evolution is trading options. So we want to be the number one DEX for users to come and trade crypto options. And yeah, I think that's sort of what we are launching and positioning to be. Yeah, so if you guys are interested in checking that out, go to our pin tweet and sort of yeah, just see how you can deposit and start trading on our new options exchange.
Yeah, a lot of people are really excited about getting started with Ribbon. I've
We're
heard that
definitely going to do it after this call.
Yeah,
I think my guys
so.
are already looking at it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of interest in Ribbon right now, and same for Life as well. And okay, guys, I'm gonna hold you for one more question after this one, but let's hear the one more that just came to mind. But let's hear it from Harry. What are you guys sort of working towards in the future? What is the sort of, you know, best case scenario goal that you'd like to realize?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the longer term goal is, provide, work with great projects, even like Ribbon, BNB chain, just to provide a good, sustainable place for good yields, and just a safe place for people to start coming. So I think, like Julian was saying about, people like in Robinhood, the retail traders are getting more sophisticated. So if we start layering in tools like AI on top of DeFi, you're going to be able to attract a lot more people. So like my mother, my grandmother, I mean, I imagine the one day, I couldn't have even imagined this until this year, but imagine they can start having an AI help with their portfolio, just to kind of reallocate and rebalance. This is kind of where I'm really, really excited, because now you're really democratizing finance. And this is why we got into crypto in the first place, is to give everyone a good opportunity to kind of earn, because, the wealth gap between the wealthy and the haves and the have not is just getting like so much bigger. So I think AI and crypto will really, really kind of uh, make people's lives a little bit easier. Gives them definitely a better opportunity. So I'm most excited to see that our project. Initially, our project was really, really built with most of our life tokens were allocating for like yield to give to people. The whole point of life was just provide good steady yields even in a bear market. So in a bull market, even better. But then working with other projects to provide this yield like longer term, that's really, really kind of our vision, and innovating, of course.
Yeah, it sounds like a really sort of collaborative endeavor that you have going on there at Life, which is amazing. Okay, I promise just one more question, and this is it. It may be a little self-serving, but we'd love to hear your guys' take on this. Why BNB chain, right? There's so many options. I know a lot of projects we work with these days are multi-chain, so it's not as if you're just loyal to BNB chain alone. But you did make the choice to expand on to BNB chain. So what was it? Let's start with Ribbon. Like what was it about BNB chain that made you feel confident about building with us?
Yeah, so I think some of the main things is obviously I think gas fees are much cheaper than Ethereum. So a lot of our users or a lot of our potential users who may not have, I don't know, like 10K in their, who want to like deposit to Ribbon or something. Um, yeah, they're sort of looking for a different chain where gas is cheaper. And secondly, I mean, BNB chain is sort of one of the biggest ecosystems in the crypto space by far, with the most sort of one of the most users as well. So I think that is why we decided to build here. And yeah, I think we are just trying to serve more users and BNB chain as one of the biggest communities.
Okay, and Harry, how about you? What made you guys choose BNB chain?
Well, it's simple. We're Team Binance. We love everything that Binance does. Like that's probably like the best way to describe it. I mean, the user experience. I mean, look, I've been using Binance since the beginning, and I think just everybody that works for Binance and works with them, we've had nothing but like the best experience. But definitely liquidity. A lot of the liquidity is also on BNB chain, and the gas fees are actually quite inexpensive. We're running our GMX fork on trade.life.com on BNB chain, and there's a lot less fluctuations in the gas, and performance is really, really good. So for us, besides Ethereum, BNB is like the right choice to use kind of as an anchor chain, in my opinion, and it's backed by Binance. So, or like Binance is a huge contributor to the chain. So
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think that there's a lot of reasons to choose BNB chain. If you are a developer that's in the audience and you're interested in migrating to BNB chain or working with us, lots of ways you can reach out. Just head to our official website. You'll see a link which will send you to a general inquiry form, and one of our BD teams, our business development people, will reach out to you if it's a good fit. But for now, we're sitting here with two projects that have successfully fit into BNB chain, and we couldn't be more happy to have them. And guys, this is like a new thing that we're trying. It's a pilot episode where we sort of take these projects, we ask them to talk about a subject that's maybe a little bit unrelated, in some cases more related than others to what they actually do. I think it turned out to be a very rich, enjoyable conversation. I personally learned a lot. I hope everybody in the audience did as well. Make sure to follow our guests just to say thank you for their time today. And guys, I just want to say one more time, like, we really appreciate it. And we look forward to a very productive and healthy relationship with your projects going forward. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having us. And yeah, you're right. This format's great. Give people their 60-second elevator pitch at the very end, but have the people that come on talk about topics that are relevant to the industry. I think it's a great format.
Okay, we got some buy-in from Harry. That's appreciated very, very much. And Ruben, any final words before we go?
Yeah, final words, just check out our pin tweet and follow us. And yeah, sign up for our new exchange.
All right, guys. Well, I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Some of us have an extra long weekend because of the Easter holiday. So however you're celebrating, maybe you're with family. Maybe you're going to eat a lot of chocolate. However you celebrate, please do. Please enjoy. And you know us. We'll be back with more spaces next week. Keep it locked on the BNB chain, Twitter. We're going to have lots more coming for you, lots more projects. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.